Hi friends, it's Terry with Terry's Creation Station. I'm so excited to have you with me. We're going to spend some time working on a project for this month, and it's a fall creation. I made sure, let me tell you a little secret, I made sure when I went to shop for these items that they're going to be readily available for you at either your Michael's or Hobby Lobby or at-home stores. And you know you're going to get a PDF printed off that you can print off with all the item numbers that we end up using today, because I've got this huge thing of florals over here. I don't know that I'll use all of them, but we're going to give you a list so you'll know exactly what was used. All right, this is going to be a fun project, and my inspiration for this was this adorable little fox. Now, I got this at home, and it's in their fall section. Can you believe fall's already out, and it's, what, 90 degrees outside? But anyway, he was adorable, and I want to make sure that I incorporate him, so he was sort of my inspiration. When I went to pick out the florals to go with him, I wanted to make sure that I blended nothing that was really bright. I mean, he's got some muted oranges, but mainly this beige and browns and things like that, more natural tones in his design. So I wanted to make sure that I kind of incorporated those colors in what I picked out. So let's look at what I picked out. Let's put these aside because we don't need those. And again, once we get started building, I'm going to give you exactly how many of each one to use on your PDF. So these were just some things that I picked up, but I want you to see the coloration. See how that doesn't compete with his color. And you want to be real careful when you're picking out your elements that they work together. Just like you're putting a team together. You want that team to work together. All right, so I found those. And then I found these wonderful picks. They've got little pine cones. They've got some wheat sprays. And it looks like some kind of eucalyptus little pine cones. But see again how this doesn't really override him at all, but it works really well. So I've got those. And then I found these at Hobby Lobby. This is all Hobby Lobby floral that I'm showing you now. These again were in that same color family. And I just want you to notice that they're not going to compete with him. Look how cute that is. Those have some gourds and such on them. Now this is just a regular bush of flowers. This is the best value that you can get, because when you get a full bush like this, these came from Michael's. And when you get this bush, and I think they were 40% off, something like that, you can cut this up and use a lot of this in this bush, and probably won't even use all of it. But these again are in that same color family. And then the last thing I picked up were these magnolia bushes. And they're tall, so I had to bend the stem to get them in this basket. But look how beautiful that is. And again, in this same color family. Now, the only orange that I have is going to be in my ribbon. So I wanted to make sure that I did get some orange in there, because he's got an orange vest on and a little orange leaf at the top. So I wanted to make sure I get that color in there. But for the most part, we've got these muted colors. And I think it's going to be really great. So let's get started. I'm so excited to get him put together. You know, when you kind of have something in your head and a vision, you can't wait to get it done. So let's get started. We put these over here. Now, surprise, surprise. We're going to do something a little different. He is so adorable that I want him to have his own wreath. You're like, what are you talking about? I've got this 14-inch grapevine wreath, and then I've got the 18-inch, okay? So what we're going to do is put these two together. So I'm going to stack them, and my idea, my vision that I'm thinking about for him is that he's going to sit in this grapevine on the bottom. Now, I don't want it in the middle because that's going to look like a snowman. So, don't want that. I'm going to put it a little bit off-centered over here on the side. Okay? So, just go a little bit off-center to the right. And that's where we want to put this. Easiest way to do this is to zip tie it. So I've got some black zip ties. And we're going to just take them and put them through this guy. And secure this 14-inch to the 18-inch. Pull it really tight. And we're going to do it in several places, so it's going to have a lot of stability. Okay, we're not through yet, so we don't want to just put one of them on there. And my goal in these once a month videos is to challenge you with something maybe you've not done before. To be honest, I haven't done this before, so we're going to do this together. I'm challenging myself and you. But I just had a vision of him sitting in his own little wreath house. His own little den. I think that's what foxes have, or dens. Okay, so I'm going to fish this through the bottom. Just pick a few places that you think you can put these zip ties that are going to anchor this to the bottom. And when I show you step by step how to do these, you're going to get some really good camera angles and know exactly what to do. You'll be doing these in no time. Now that's pretty secure, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put one. It's pretty secure, but I'm going to go ahead and put one over here on this side, just to give it a little more stability. And I'm using these dark zip ties just in case for some reason it might be seen, but I don't think it will be. By the time we get all the florals and everything attached, I think we're going to be good. Pulling it tight so we get it on there secure. You're going to find, if you're new to me, that my construction techniques are probably a little bit overkill, but I want to make sure that whatever we're building is going to stay built. If you're selling these, or even if you're doing them for yourself, you want them to last for a while, okay? You don't want to have things falling apart from season to season. And so I'd rather put too many zip ties than not enough. And they're cheap, you know, they're only pennies. All right. If you build a good base, you're going to have a good result. Just keep that in mind. All right, so now we've got that. Now, if you want to, you can put at the top a little piece of wire or something that will tell you this is the top of your wreath. And the reason I tell you to do that is that sometimes when you start building your design, you can get off a little bit, especially on something like this where it's not this way. It's off a little bit to the side. So actually our top is going to be right about here. So I like to put a piece of something where my center is so that I can have that as a reference. You can always take it off later. Okay, so we're ready to start filling this thing. Let me show you how cute he's going to be sitting in his own little place. Now, and his legs are going to hang down. How cute is that? You could use any little scarecrow or any kind of stuffy or something here. You could put pumpkins. It doesn't have to be this particular one. But I just thought that was going to really showcase this little guy. Okay, so we're going to put him aside for a second and start building our florals. How are we doing so far? I think this is going to be a good project for you guys and gals. Okay. We are raring to go. Let's start putting some florals in. Now, I think I'm going to start with this big guy. And I'm going to keep all these tags because I want to make sure that I give you exactly how many and what the SKU numbers are if you decide to recreate this particular design. But remember, you can do... Oh, I thought that was falling. You can do your own selection of greenery or whatever you want. Now, here's the question. Do we leave this whole? Do we cut it up? I do know I'm going to cut this long piece here because we surely don't need that at all. And remember, some of these things are pretty thick. You got to have some muscle or either one of those big cutters, you know, that are meant for this. And we'll see how strong I am today. Just give it a wiggle. There we go. Okay, I think I'm going to leave this whole. We're going to put this right at the top, like so. And then my vision is to maybe have another piece right here. Okay, so you want a little bit of symmetry. This is way big, so I'm just going to stick that right into there. And I'm going to put a little bit glue from my glue pan. If you don't have a glue pan, just use glue gun is fine. I'm just going to stick this in. I put a candle in my glue pan to keep it from stringing so bad. It smells so good. If you haven't tried that, do it. So I've got this guy right here. And then I'm going to anchor it with some wire up here at the top. Okay. So I like this. It's called Grapevine wire. You can get this at Hobby Lobby. And I like it for grapevines because it's invisible. It doesn't show when you put it in. So I'm just going to cut a little piece. And then we're going to put it at the top of this branch so that we can anchor it to the grapevine. I'm just going to run it through the grapevine with my needle nose. And I have some really nice needle nose pliers. I have no idea where they are. So we're using these little baby ones. You're probably going, doesn't she have better tools than that? I do, but I don't know where they are today. Probably in a container when I went on site to a customer's house and they didn't get put back where they belong. Okay, so I'm just going to anchor that there with the grapevine wire. And then I'm just going to trim it off. I don't need all that on there. Now, don't think that your designs have to be flat. I want you to think three-dimensional. So you can see that I pulled this leaf out. Instead of it being flat, shape it. These leaves are all wired, so you can move them around and shape them where you want them to go. As I say, they're not the boss of you. You're the boss of them. Okay, so where's our middle? There it is right there. Okay, right there is our middle. Now let's go down here where the fox is going to be and put another piece of that same stem. If I can get it out of here. Like I said, I had to bend it to get it into this basket. You know, when I'm just in here by myself making stuff, I've got stuff flying over everywhere. I know y'all probably the same way. So we've used another one of these. I'm going to keep the tag. And you might want to use that as a way to bill your customers so you can keep up with what you put on there. Try to get this red tag off of here. How we doing so far? Y'all having fun? I'm having a blast. Nothing better than creating with friends. Okay, so I've got to cut another one of these again. Let's see if I can do better this time. And then these are probably not really sharp, so Lord help us. I do have some really big cutters somewhere. I think this will work. I don't know why they make these things so thick. Well, this one's worse than the other one. Okay, I think I got it. There we go, finally. Okay, so I've got this guy going this way. And I think I'm going to do the opposite direction with this one. So what I want to do is extend up here to this side of the wreath. Here's my top. And you can always look at that for a reference. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a little glue on the end of that. So just, now I said it wasn't going to string, and look at it, it's making a liar out of me. So I'm going to stick that in there. And then I'm going to come down here and again take some of the grapevine and put that in there. You could also zip tie it if you wanted, but I like this because it doesn't show. It's very visible once you get it on there. So just the main branch of that big pick. And remember, this one came from Hobby Lobby. And they're already on sale, even though it's not fall. They pretty much put things on sale when they put them out, so that's always great if you can get it for a bargain. But if you can't find this exact magnolia, fall magnolia, use something else. You don't have to do it exactly the way I'm doing it. Whatever is available to you is what you use. Now remember what we talked about. I don't want this to be flat to the wreath. So we're going to pull it up and away from the wreath base. And we're going to put the fox in here, so we don't want to get too crazy. All right, this is a good beginning. Very good beginning. I think it's time to put the fox in, so we can get a gauge on where everything else is going to go. So this guy came from At Home. Looks like it's in the Harvest Heritage division or section. Now, this is important because we don't want him sitting crooked, and that was why I had you put your little center mark there, because we want to make sure we get him sitting in the right orientation. Alright, so here's our center. I've got my hand on it. And now I'm going to put him, just look and see where your center is, and make sure instead of him being this way, I want him coming up and down. Alright, so that's where he is. I've got a good mark. And you're thinking, how are we going to get him on there to stay? Well, we got to do a little bit of surgery. Unfortunately, he's going to have a little bit of surgery. So we're going to take, let me see. Tell you what we're going to do. So we're going to use some of this wire. Now, if you don't have a pick machine, you can do this without one, but it's just easier to put a pick on the end of this. Here's my heavy pick machine. And I'm going to just put a pick on the end of this grapevine wire, like that. I'm not going to glue it because I don't want to. I'm going to poke this through the back of his head. And the reason I'm using a pick on it is sharp, and it's going to pierce his fabric. But if you don't have that, you can use a screwdriver or something, an awl, like an ice pick. I think some of our designers even have ice picks that they use, knitting needles, anything of that nature that you can just poke through. And I'm just feeling this. Be very careful. These picks are extremely sharp. They are razor sharp. And they will slice you, and may even have to have stitches if it got too bad. So I'm just coming out on the other end, or on the other side of his head. Let me turn him this way so I can see better. Now I'm pulling out some of his stuffing. I'm losing his brains. But you can just stick them back in. You know, just like he's been in an accident or something. Whoops. So no worries, we'll fix that back. But I want to make sure I get him in there securely. Okay, so that's just a little hazard of using one of these picks. Now I'm going to push it through the grapevine. You know, you're going to have things like that happen while you're designing. Don't freak out about it. And don't think, oh my gosh, it's a ruined project. No, you can work around it. It's not going to be any big deal. So I'm going to take the other end of his wire and push it through. And this is a double grapevine, so it's where the stacks on top of each other. So it may be a little challenging to get it through. Okay. Now the main thing, remember, is you just want to make sure that it's got the right orientation when you put those elements on your grapevine, whether it's a pumpkin or whatever it is. Okay, so this is coming through on the back side. Here's the other one. And then I'm just going to cut that pick off because it's not really needed any longer. And then I'm going to take that wire and bend it back onto itself into the grapevine. And that's how it gets secured right there. It's kind of hard to see it actually when you get it in there because it's the same color as your base. And I'm just going to double this back onto itself. And this is how the fox stays where he belongs, right? Don't want him falling out when the door closes. Okay, so we got his head secure, and we'll work on that cotton business. May have to put a little leaf or something, or do a little stitch to get his, we'll have to do surgery, get his brains back together. So you didn't know you were going to be a brain surgeon when you become a floral designer. So I'm going to put another place down here to secure him. And remember, we're just going to use this wire. Put a pick. Now, I don't know why I put glue on that, but I did. Which was really stupid. I should not have done that. So let's do another one. No big deal. Okay, let me check him and make sure one more time that he's sitting where I want him to sit. He's got his belly kind of stuck out there like, oh, I don't care about anything. It's fall and I don't care. So I'm going to stick this through. And this has got some kind of like sand or something in it for it to sit on a shelf. Now let me get rid of this pick. I can't wait to see how this is going to turn out. I think I'm excited to see it happen. You know, once you have something in your head and then it comes to a realization of what you dreamed about or envisioned in your head. Okay, let's check one more time because I want to make sure he's where he's supposed to be. If I need to make any adjustments, now's the time. There's my top. And he can sit right there. Okay. And we'll take that wire and just push it through. To the back. Don't be afraid about throwing your stuff around. If you put it in there securely, nothing's going to fall off. Someone told me one time, I can't believe how rough you are with your stuff. And I'm like, well, it's not going to come off at all. So let me find the other end where it came out. There it is. Now I can actually tie these things on top together since they're so close together. That's an option. And then I'm going to cut this off pretty short. A little tip, you're going to want to turn this wire back into the grapevine because if you've got a customer with a really fancy door, you don't want that wire to scratch their beautiful doors. Okay, look what we have so far. How sweet is that? He's just sleeping through the whole thing, isn't he? Okay, we're just going to fill up some more florals and we're going to add some ribbon and then we'll be through. Now I think what I want to do is add some of this in there because we do need a little bit of the orange since he has orange on his pocket or vest. And these I'm going to cut apart. You don't always have to use the picks the way they come. You want to make sure that you get as much money bang out of your buck as you can. So I think these cutters need to go in the trash. Now you can either pick these or just put them straight in. We're just going to put them straight in. Add some glue. And yeah, it's getting pretty warm in here. I think I'm sweating. Makeup. I need my makeup artist. We turn the air off so that we can have less noise, but then the creator gets a little sweaty. So okay, so I just put that grass in there going the same direction as my great what you call it, what are these called, magnolias. And all I'm doing is just putting them in here to add some texture. And I love anything that's kind of airy and it's got this kind of grassy look. Oh, that air feels good. Y'all, for 2 years I worked in my garage and it was hot. But now I'm spoiled because I've got my shop AC and heat in the winter time. Okay, so I'm just filling in some of these grasses around. And I'm going to put one here at the top. A big piece. And it's okay for some of your grapevine to show. I think they're beautiful anyway, so you don't have to be concerned all the time about covering every little piece of the grapevine. Let it show. Instead of let it go, let it show. And I love the wildness of that, don't you? I think that's really pretty. So let's do the same thing down here on this other section, okay? Get this pick off, tag off. Don't want those tags on there. You can take a magic marker sometime and mark over if you've got some that are showing and you can't get them off because that sticky is so sticky. Okay, let's put a few of these grasses with him. Now we're going to do that over here, go in the other direction. Just follow the same direction as your pick that we put in at the first. And I'm not really used to working in this orientation. I like to have my wreath up on a stand, but for my teaching purposes I know that this is better for you to see. And we're going to work on these leaves so they're not covering up the fox. How we doing? Well, I'm glad that air came on. I can just feel my face is all like beaded up. And we've got lights on and everything else. This is real life, folks. I think I may put a little piece of grass right here by his head. Because I want to cover up that zip tie. Okay, so here's what we have. We put some grass kind of around him and around where we did the magnolias. And look how quickly this has filled up. I mean, it actually has filled up. And I'm not going to try to cover up every little piece. If we don't use all this floral, then I'll have it for another project. Alright, I am going to use a little bit of this just because I love it so much. And I'm not going to pick this either. I'm just going to put it in the glue and stick it in. So I want to just add a little bit more texture. And some of you may say, well, how do you know when to quit? Well, I kind of just have an instinct when I've gotten enough. And interesting enough, sometimes my husband will say, well, don't you have enough on there already? No. So what his enough and my enough is can be totally different. These bend really well too, so I'm going to just put those in like that. Look at those, aren't those nice? And I'm really not even sure we're going to need ribbon in this design. You know, I've pulled some ribbon out. We'll just see. We'll see what happens. Sometimes you just have to get to that point and then make a decision. And you're thinking, what? No ribbon? No, say it's not so. Alright, so that's what we did. Look, just adding that little bit of texture, what that did. Let's do that down here as well. Fun, fun. Again, we're following the same direction that the magnolias were in and the grass. We're going to put this right here. Don't worry about his brains, I'll fix them. He'll be just fine at the end of it all. Maybe better than he was before. Okay, we got that there. There he is. Cute. Now, let's put maybe one or two of these pumpkin picks or gourds, just because we want to get that fall element in our design. So I'm going to pick, these were sort of sister picks. One had a gourd, one had a pumpkin. So let's use one of each. Don't be afraid of grapevines. They're not, what's the worst that could happen? You'd have to start over, or, you know, don't worry about it. Just do it. Some of you don't think you can. I promise you, you can. And I'm going to put this, see how this is kind of got a C shape. I'm going to kind of go in the middle of the C, because we're only going to use two of these. So I'm going to go in the middle of the C and put this pumpkin. Just kind of gauge it and see. See the C. I must be getting delirious. The heat must be getting to me. Now we're going to do the same thing down here. This time we're going to use the gourd, just this one. We're going to have so much fun in this group, making things together and inspiring one another, and it'll be a fun journey, I know. Okay, same thing. I'm going to kind of come in the middle of the C. And there's the gourd piece. So I'm thinking we might add a ribbon, a bow right in this spot right here. I think that's what's going to happen. And I'm just going to make a hand-tied bow. I'm not going to worry about trying to get it out on my pro bow or anything like that. We're just going to make a hand-tied bow. Okie doke. So, I had this cute pumpkin too, but I don't think I need it. So, it's okay to pull elements and then put them aside. You don't have to use everything you pull. So, I have this cute ribbon. Whew, part of it's this hair on my head. It's so long it feels like I've got like a shroud or something on it. Okay, so I think I'm going to use this one. And I think I might use these. Now, this is not wired. But don't be afraid to use some things that are not. It's got that filament on the ends or on the edges. But I like the way this looks. It's got that extra texture in it. So we're going to play with that and maybe use it. This ribbon was from my personal collection, and I just thought it had that nice fall looking tweed texture to it, and it kind of looks a little bit like his leg, his outfit. So let's use that. Okay, so I'm just going to make a freehand bow. Let me move this aside so you can watch me make this bow. There's nothing to making a freehand bow. Don't get yourself all excited over it. It's going to be fine. Okay, if you want to be precise, you can use a measuring stick or a board or a mat like this to get your measurement. You can do a, I don't know, 12, 14-inch tail or a 16-inch tail. Remember, you can always cut these. So we're going to come from the point where the tail is to about 16. That's going to give you an 8-inch loop by the time you fold it, right? Okay, so you've got an 8-inch loop. You measured it out 16. Now we're going to twist it, because you want the front of your ribbon facing out. You don't want this back side. We're going to measure 16, because that's going to give you an 8-inch loop when you pull it in. Now, one way you can test it is bring these two loops up next to each other and see if you've gotten the right size. Okay, we're going to twist again so you get that right side up. You can either make another loop the same size, or you can go bigger. I'm going to keep it the same. And twist. Most of the time I don't really even measure, I just go for it, but if you want to get your loops all the same, measure it and see if they are. Okay, so I'm going to leave those 4 like that, and then I'm going to come down and just cut a tail. Let's get that out of there. Now you can either hold this with your hand when you do the next one, or that's one reason I love this waffle stuff. You can actually tear off a piece of that, tie it around your middle, and let's build the next bow, and then we're going to stack them. Remember, I'll have all these materials listed for you, and you can either substitute or use the ones that we've used. So I've just tied that so I don't have to hold it with my hands, right? Let's do the same thing. This time I think I might make a 14-inch length, which is going to make a 7-inch bow. Okay, so here's where I'm going to start my loop. And instead of 16, I'm going to go 14, and that's going to be 7 inches. 14. Crimp it. Twist it. And then we can either just eyeball it, or if you want to be sure, just put it down there on your measuring mat. Okay. Alright, see how fast you can make one? I'm telling you, there's nothing to it. Now we're going to stack these two, just like this, and then just take that waffle ribbon and tie it to secure this one. And there's your bow. Okay. So we're going to use this waffle ribbon to put it onto the grapevine. Sound good? Here it is, and I'm going to put the bow right in this spot right here. And I'm going to use this to put it in there. Oh, he's adorable. I'm excited to show this to you. Okay, let's grab it onto something. Remember, it's not the boss of you. It's the boss you know. Okay, I'm the boss of you. You do what I want you to do. So you may have another way to attach these ribbons. That's totally fine. I do mine all kind of which ways. So here it is on the back. Came through. And I'm just going to give it a good tug and tie it off. Give it a couple of knots. Now I'm going to cut this on the back, and then I'm just going to tuck that in. Your customers, if you're doing this to sell, will notice all the little extra steps that you've taken to make your design well constructed and also clean looking, professionally done. Okay, let's take this ribbon and finish off the edges. And you can either chevron it or roll it up, depends on your preference. But this is where you can trim out your ribbon if you think you've gotten it too long. You can roll it up, make it twirl on the bottom. I love this tweed. Okay, you know what? I think we're done. Look how adorable this turned out. There he is, kind of off to the side. We added the ribbon. It adds a little bit more of the orange color for him. Let's get these strings off. We've got grass, we've got magnolias, we've got a little bit of pumpkins and berries. And he's just happy as can be sitting in there. What do you think? Very nice. And it wasn't hard. What happened too is that we made this a little bit bigger, which means you can charge more for it because it's a bigger design. But think about it, you could also not do this 14-inch. You could just do this main base and have him sitting up here. So that's always an option if you don't want anything this large. But I wanted to challenge you and give you some other perspective of a different way to do it. And I think that's what we've done. We've accomplished that. Okay. We'll get some good pictures of that and post them out there. I want to thank each of you for being with us today, with me, and following along. And I really am excited to see some of your designs. I know that you're capable of doing this without any problems. So thanks again for being with us, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the group. Okay? Bye-bye.